Are you ready?
Are you ready for the greatest adventure this side of DC Comics?
Yes. When are we going to get it?
This is Greg,
Luby
and we are here for the review of Batman
v Superman.
Okay, well...
All right, well, before we dive into that, I want to drop a couple disclaimers.
Okay.
Number one, if you're watching this and you haven't seen our pre-discussion video, please, if you want to, just pause this, go back and watch that on our YouTube channel, 165 Entertainment, and then come back, watch this review, and then see how well it kind of stacked up. Disclaimer number two, there's more than likely going to be spoilers that we're going to drop in this.
Yes, we will be dropping spoilers.
Yes, the movie made was $166 million domestically. I think enough people have seen it to where spoilers are safe. So this is your one and only spoiler warning.
Warning. If you haven't gone and seen the movie yet, go and see it. We'll only say that.
Yeah, that's... Despite all of the negative press and some of the things that we might drop about the movie today, it's one of those things where you should really see it for yourself, form your own opinion, and kind of mash it up with what everyone else is saying. See where you fall within this crowd.
Most definitely. Whatever we say in this video, it's still worth the wait, and it was still an awesome movie in its own.
Right.
You know what? You brought up a good point. Let's talk about the initial reaction when it first came out. The critics. They came out, and they started low blowing. 29%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. Just negative overall.
Well, here's the thing. All right. So what was goofy is, and I think this has something to do with maybe a Warner Brothers action, but I remember you had actually posted on your personal Facebook that there were a bunch of tweets about just mind-blowing reviews, like really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, this thing's going to launch the DC Universe. Marvel better watch out, crap like that. And then it was right around the time when they started doing press screenings and exclusive fan screenings. That's when we started seeing the Rotten Tomatoes reviews. And initially it started off at, I think it was in the very low 40s. And then by the end of this weekend is when it dropped down to, I think the final was 29%.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to
just give it a little history on it.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest complaints was that it wasn't the Marvel cookie cutter. From whatever I read from all the critics, they said this was dark, and this was, the plot was devoid. Okay. What, you want Marvel movies every single time? This movie is not a Marvel movie. This is DC Comics.
Yeah.
This is The Dark Knight Returns in live action form. Not as good.
Yeah, that's what's okay.
Yeah, not as good. Dark Knight Returns is still better,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
this was more along the lines of something dark and something gritty. This was Zack Snyder's style. 300, Watchmen. I mean, Batman Superman, when you start watching it, you could almost get the feel that it was a Zack Snyder movie. So
One of the other, and it's not so much a disclaimer, but something I kind of want to get off my chest is the idea of comparing it to Marvel, which you're right. It's not the same as Marvel, and it shouldn't be the same as Marvel. DC has historically been darker. But one of the things that bugs the crap out of me is the critic response, how it got handled. Not everyone has to like this movie. And the fact that they don't, a lot of people on the internet, particularly the fanboy community, has been really hard bashing these critics.
yeah,
And they all go to the same thing, just saying that these are just Marvel fanboys that were paid off by Disney to give the movie bad reviews.
Yeah.
And that pisses me the fuck off. All right? They don't have to like this movie. The fact that they don't like this movie should not and does not affect how much you enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
So if you don't like what a critic says, shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up. That's all I have to say.
and that was the other thing is when the audience ratings started coming out, they were all positive. I mean, people really enjoyed this movie.
Right.
The critics didn't like it, and not all of the audience didn't like it, but the majority rule was it was a great movie to fan standards. Now, these critics are probably the same kind of critics that go into other kind of movies. Like, they'll probably go and see Zootopia and rate it.
Right.
There's only so many times that you can go in and see a family film and then like a horror movie, and it's just the same movies over and over again. So then you get Batman, Superman, and it's just you go in with negative connotations and you come out with a negative expectation. or negative reaction to it. But okay, so we got the initial reviews out of the way. So what were your overall impressions?
All right, here's the thing. When I first saw the movie, I wasn't a big fan of it.
Okay.
And one of my big gripes about it was just the editing and the story flow of it. Because, and I think this is one of the reasons why critics have panned it so much, is that especially in the first hour and a half or so, it feels very much like a collection of scenes. And for example, this was one of the things that, because not often do you really hear a complaint about editing in a movie. And normally I don't care about it either. But then when things take you so far out of the movie, and it probably has something to do with the editing. And here's my example. And again, I know I said one and only spoiler alert, but just to be sure, spoiler. So when Superman shows up at the courthouse and the courthouse blows up, right? Mm-hmm. And then the scene after that is Lex Luthor driving his motorcycle to his lab / business or whatever, and the place is just destroyed. There's the gate is on fire. There's broken glass. There's rubble and stuff everywhere. And he finds that his kryptonite is gone, and that there's a batarang sticking in the cage where it was.
Yeah.
Don't you think that was a scene maybe we wanted to see? It was the way they started out that scene. You had no idea what was going on. At first, when I saw that, I thought, is this some sort of, collateral damage from that bomb that blew up at the courthouse? But then it wasn't until you see the batarang that you realize, oh, Batman snuck in and saw the kryptonite, or he stole the kryptonite.
With that scene, I actually initially thought it was going to be Batman, because when he walked in, there was bullet casings all over the floor, and they had already brought up the fact that Batman's using machine guns, which
that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that later. But I had the feeling that it was going to be Batman, but I agree with the editing and just the flow of the plot. Like, there was a scene where it was, we were going from scenes with like Batman working on his suit, and then it would jump to Clark's with his mom, Martha. And then all of a sudden it goes to Bruce doing, I think he was on his computer. And then it jumps to Clark's in the mountains with Papa Kent.
Yeah, or he's at the Daily Planet.
Yeah, it bounced around so much, and that was one of my major gripes, is because it just didn't flow. It didn't flow right to me. Like, it felt like a lot of it was just, there was a lot of time in between that they skipped, and I would have loved to see Batman suit up, but they cut that out. They cut out him getting in his mechanized suit. It was so sudden.
He appeared in it when he finalized that kryptonite spear that he made, and he just goes into that random abandoned building, pounds it into the ground. Why?
Yeah, it just.
So other than the editing, eventually the more consideration I gave it, the movie grew on me a little bit. Yeah. So my original rating was a 6.8, and then it bumped up to a solid 7. And I don't think it's going to rise anywhere from there. But then the more I thought about it, like, despite all that, there were a lot of elements that did work in this movie for me.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get into that. But then what's your general reaction?
So you gave the film 7. I gave it like a 7.5. I gave it a solid,
Okay.
What is that, like a C? I gave it a solid C.
It's a mid C.
It's a mid C. You know what? I wanted to give it a higher grade. It's just the plot kind of brought me down a little bit, and you know what? That fight scene between the two of them, it didn't have the punch that I wanted. I wanted like a half-hour fight.
Oh God!
And it was a 5 hour. Oh my God!
Yes.
It was a 5.
Give me a 5-hour Batman v Superman fight.
It was a 5-minute fight, and it's just.
And not only that, it was the only fight.
Yeah. That's what I was expecting in our preview. I wanted to see multiple fights, and you got the one fight, but that was it. It was a good fight, and I enjoyed it, but it's just. I hype myself up watching The Dark Knight Returns, and it's just. That fight scene is so epic and beautiful. If they got that in live action form, which how insanely like CGI and like all the special effects, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, even if it was CGI, I think it would have been captivating enough that you could give it a hard pass.
Yeah. But overall, like, I really enjoyed it because it's Batman Superman. It's the first time ever you've actually had live action Batman and live action Superman in the same
Yeah.
film and in the same universe, and it's fantastic.
Right.
So I was really excited about that, and I thought the character development was really spot on, with the exception of Lex. And one of the biggest thing I loved was what they did with Doomsday. They hit Doomsday like on the nose.
Yes.
Because I was really worried going into it, and even when the film, like when he showed up, it was just, oh man, I really hope this is really cool. And they kill him for the first time, and he regenerates, and he starts growing out the spikes, and I'm like, yes.
That is exactly what he should do.
And then he does it again, and he grows out more, and I'm like, yes. So like that was definitely a big positive in my part, is they did a great job sticking to that character kind of, I don't want to say origin, but that the mythology of Doomsday.
Okay, that's cool. All right, let's do a little bit of breakdown, because I think this was one of the most important things to look at throughout this movie. Let's look at the characters one by one. What did you think of Superman in this movie?
Well, as Clark Kent, I don't think we saw him that much.
No,
not at all. I don't really think we saw him enough as Clark Kent, but the scenes where he was Superman, like, you could actually feel for him. And even in the movie, it was, when it got to the end, I was like, man, this is tough, because, spoiler alert, Lex takes Martha, and I think they did a great job conveying his emotions toward that, and like him having to hold back that power. So I thought that the way that they broke down Superman to like almost to a human kind of mentality, like that's,
yeah, he did very much. When he found out that Lex had his mom, he did kind of look like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
So with Superman, I like the portrayal.
Yeah.
And I liked him a little bit more in Man of Steel, simply because he got to display a lot more confidence. But then I see why in this movie why he wouldn't display that confidence, because this movie is 2.5 hours of people picking on Superman.
Yeah.
Saying that, he shouldn't be doing what he's doing when all he's doing is saving people. And you can see it weigh on him, and in that respect, I did very much like his performance.
And everything he did in the movie, like, he was just trying to help people. The whole entire movie. I mean, he was saving people from the flood. He's they showed the montage of him, saving people, saving that spaceship that blew up that you saw all the time in the trailer. He was trying to save Martha. Like, he was just trying to do the right thing the whole entire time, and it just, it was just always blowing up in his face. And literally in the courthouse, it blew up in his face.
Oh, that scene was wild.
I thought they did a really good job taking the Superman character and bringing in the element of humanity to him.
Right. So what did you think of Batman?
Oh my god. Ben Affleck played he was Bruce Wayne incarnate. And I said that in the previews. He was Bruce Wayne in this movie. I mean, every speech that he had, even though I heard it, it was beautiful. I mean, he conveyed the emotion. He displayed every single gesture and just facial expression that Bruce really had. And I'm watching the movie, and that scene where he looks up and he's like, "You will." And all I could think about was you telling me that he just looked so bored. And I'm like, he kind of does.
Yeah.
But with the exception of that, it was just, he did a phenomenal job I think that they did an excellent job of choosing him for Batman.
Okay. I mostly agree with that. Partly because, again, with the "you will" on board.
Yeah.
Look, and the other time when it really kind of really can you do that take again was at the very end when they finished burying Superman. Spoiler. And he's talking to Wonder Woman, and he's talking about assembling the Justice League, and I feel like they were trying to portray him brooding, but he looked bored.
Yeah.
Because he's Wonder Woman's like, "Why should we assemble these people? What are we going to be fighting?"
I just have a
I
feeling.
just have a feeling, and he's just, I don't know. He just looks like he's staring out, like, I don't know,
He's spacing out.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, the opening scene he did an awesome job with when he's driving through the destruction going on in Metropolis. Yeah. Awesome scene. when he's watching the courtroom scene on TV and he's going through those paychecks. Awesome scene. He did a really good job. And then during the fight scene, the few lines that he had during there, I very much believed his stance against Superman.
Yeah, and that was something the critics didn't like. Was they didn't understand why Bruce had such a problem with Superman. Duh, why wouldn't he? He blew up his building. He is one of those guys that he cares for all the people that he works with, all the people in Gotham. I mean, he's trying to protect them, and here comes Superman blowing shit up and having like all these casualties and all this collateral damage.
Yeah, and at the very most, you got to understand there's at least some mistrust. He was on the phone when one of his good friends / coworkers was dying, and he was there, and then he wasn't.
Yeah, and then he saved the little girl, and she said her.
I'd say, where's your parents? And then there's just
half a building missing.
Fire and just chaos, and so. You got to, understand at least that much.
Yeah. I thought, that opening scene was just, it was really spine-tingling, just seeing him, like, the dedication and just the intensity in his face when he was going through the streets. So.
Yeah, I agree. The next character, I think, among these three, I don't want to say stood out the most, but stood out very well, was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because the way they used her regularly throughout the movie was okay. She happened to be a lot of places, and you do kind of figure out why, but it still didn't feel like it connected. But then once she actually put on the uniform and got in fighting form against Doomsday, awesome.
Yeah.
That, first of all, her theme song. The soundtrack, you know what? Everyone's soundtrack in this movie is incredible. That's probably, I think, my favorite part of the whole movie is everyone's individual soundtrack worked out really well. But then also, during the Doomsday fight, and I don't know if this is so much, she did a good job, but it was also probably a choice by the director. Mm-hmm. But when, she's running around, she's chopping up Doomsday, doing an awesome job. But then every once in a while, when Doomsday would get a hit back, and you see her either fall down or get knocked back, and she's got this grin on her face. Because you got to imagine, if she's an Amazon warrior princess...
She's dying for her.
Yes, how often is she going to get a fight where she's really using all of her strength, and it's such a challenge, and she's getting such a thrill out of it, and just that part of the performance won me over big time.
Yeah, I think Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, something like that. I think that was a good choice for Wonder Woman. I know a lot of people were kind of iffy about it, and a lot of people were real negative, but I thought
some of her line delivery in her regular human form was a little bit like odd. Like, are you?
But when it really came down to it, to the Wonder Woman,
yes, that's the part you have to nail, and she did.
I bet you across the nation, every theater, when she got on screen, people were cheering and clapping. Like
I would agree if we hadn't already seen it in the trailer.
Yeah. But I mean, that would have been that cooler if we didn't see it in the trailer. But man. As Wonder Woman, that was phenomenal.
It was a great.
And she did a good job of, like, when you said when she was getting knocked down and grinning, like it was kind of insinuated that she'd been retired. So she hadn't been fighting. She hasn't been fighting for such a long time, and then it's just like she's trying to ignore the fight, and then finally it's like, you know what? Let's do this.
It's like, I have to do this one.
Yeah. So when she jumped in and started fighting Doomsday, like that was really cool. That was definitely a big high point. And they said that even in some cases Wonder Woman stole the show, and I think that was a great addition to the movie.
I agree. Now let's go on to the most fun member of the cast. Let's talk about Lex.
Oh, good. I'm going to stand by my original thought. I don't think I shared this with the audience last time. I really wish they would have gotten Bryan Cranston to play Lex Luthor. That would have been awesome. Jesse Eisenberg did okay. I didn't really like his portrayal. I didn't like how zany he was. I didn't like his off the wall like personality, and I didn't like how he was approaching like the character. Like, Lex Luthor is methodical, serious business person, and he's not. I didn't think of him as a just shooting hoops, and he played more of like a Mark Zuckerberg kind of character than Lex Luthor, in my opinion.
All right. The question is, how much of that role? Because I gotta imagine that it wasn't entirely his choice, because at that point you got to imagine, at least to an extent, his character was written that way.
Yeah.
That he's this. So while it would have been nice to see Bryan Cranston playing the Lex Luthor kind of person that we all know, which is this charismatic guy who uses his words and a little more strategy and uses the public to kind of go against Superman.
Yeah.
Whereas we got this, like you said, this kind of antisocial, has trouble giving public speeches and it's feeding people Jolly Ranchers.
Pisses in jars. Yeah.
You piss in a jar?
Yeah, remember the scene when they're in the courthouse? When she turned the glass? That's what that was. That was piss.
Oh, I thought that was the bomb.
No, the bomb was
Oh,
on the
it was
guy's
in the
wheelchair.
Oh, crap. That's...
Yeah, because remember, they were in his study, and he was talking about, or she had, no, they were on the way to the courthouse, and she said something about, or no, it was in the study where they went.
Yeah,
where they were talking.
when she
you
said that...
you can piss in a jar and call it, Granny's.
Oh, man, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
and she
admit that.
took a sip, I think, and her face, and I didn't understand that, and she turned the cup, and I was reading, I'm like, I really don't understand it. Why is she disgusted? And on the drive home, I'm thinking to myself, like, why was, ew.
Yeah,
Gross.
I completely missed that.
Yeah.
That's
He
not me.
pissed in a jar, and she was drinking it, and the
Yeah.
bomb was in the wheelchair.
Oh, man.
But it just, another thing about it was in the ending scene, spoiler alert, when he gets locked up and gets his head shaved, he's in the jail, and Batman's walking away, and he's talking about Darkseid. It didn't, like, just the way he was expressing, or he was talking, it was kind of weird to me, where
He was very shaken, very... Now, here's...
tick tock, like he sounded like more
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
it was
Riddler.
like the bells are ringing.
Yeah,
Ding, ding.
Ding ding,
Ding,
ding ding.
Okay, here's the thing about that, and this actually broke today. Now, I don't know if you want me to spoil this. What actually happened is
Spoiler alert.
Warner Brothers actually just released a deleted scene. Did you watch it? Mm-mm. Okay. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this was one of my original complaints in one of the editing portions, where when Doomsday is finally spawned, he emerges from his egg or whatever.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's about to punch Lex Luthor. Superman stops the punch, takes him out. And so I wondered, where's Lex going? Then the next time you see him is when he's in jail getting his head shaved. Mm-hmm. And I had a problem with that. And then, while this deleted scene didn't entirely answer that, what happened in this deleted scene was there's a SWAT team that goes into the tent, into the ship, and they're all, looking around for anything. And then they see this giant, it kind of looks like a demon, is standing in there, and he's got these two boxes. It's those mother boxes. Mm-hmm. Like one of them we saw in the little clip where we see Cyborg a little bit, that little vibrating box.
That wasn't a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
And then he's standing in front of Jesse Eisenberg, who's just like staring up at him. And then this demon or whatever kind of disintegrates along with the boxes. And then Jesse just turns around and it looks like he's crying. And it's weird because it looks like when he put Zod's body into the, like, I don't know if it was water, but
he
it
was
was like
caressing it, and he was like emotional about it.
well, because it was in that, I don't know if you would call it water, but it was kind of like a Genesis pool or whatever they would call it. And then what he's standing in now is like this, it's almost like a sludge at this point. So I gotta wonder if it's like maybe like dead skin cells or something from Doomsday or something like that. So it raises more questions than it answers, but it fills in a small gap.
Yeah, that might answer what he was talking about, was the what did he say? The bell has been rung, like the call has been made.
Yeah, so it's like...
So that kind of like explains what he's talking about, where he pretty much summoned him. Like it sounds like that demon's from, Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So
that's what the implication is at this point.
But I mean, overall, I think Jesse did an okay job.
In terms of that performance, if that's the character that he was given and told to do, then it was fine. And in theory, if he was an entirely like standalone character that wasn't Lex Luthor, I'd be fine with that performance. But like we said, because he's not the guy that we're used to, the kind of Lex that we're supposed to be getting, that's why it kind of didn't really resonate with us.
Well, I thought I read somewhere or heard that he originally they were auditioning for him, or he wanted to audition for the Riddler. Like he wanted to play the Riddler character. Okay. Like, that's the kind of character I felt like he could have pulled off. Like, he had that kind of personality for it. But you know what? If this is the direction that they want to go with Lex, I'm good with it. I think they can definitely go somewhere. You know, because him and Henry Cavill are the same age.
Yeah.
So they can.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was also interesting that it's those two are the same age, and then Ben Affleck and Jared Leto are the same age too. So that's definitely setting it up for a pretty badass next few years.
Yeah, and now that he's got his connection to whatever these creatures are from Apocalypse, which they're kind of implying the new gods, which I don't know as much about. I know it's got Darkseid involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, since he's established some sort of connection, to what extent we don't know, but then, this isn't going to be the last time we're going to see him.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No.
All right, so let's move on to, what do you want to move on to? Lois?
Lois didn't really do that much in the movie.
Okay. Who's left?
I mean, we can graze over
Like the secondary
the remaining characters, yeah.
Okay.
Because one of the guys that I really liked was Perry White.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne?
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, he was serious when he needed to be. He was funny when he needed to be. I just thought he hit every beat.
Yeah. And that's something else I read is people really enjoyed his character, and yeah, I enjoyed him. I mean, he was, like you said, he was funny,
Yeah.
and he had that serious tone and like that boss attitude, but he still kind of had an upbeat kind of
Yeah, and
character.
constantly like,
Yeah.
where's my sports article?
Parker.
Oh.
Did you read it all? Did you hear that they actually put who's that kid that works at the Daily Planet, the photographer?
Oh, Jimmy Olsen.
They put him in the movie.
There was like a cameo of him somewhere. I
In the very
forget where it was.
beginning, when when the journalist got shot, that was him. Hey, this guy's undercover CIA.
That's the guy who got
Yeah,
shot? That was Jimmy?
that's who they said that they originally. Well, that's the person they said they were aiming to be Jimmy, and they wanted to be. They didn't have it implied, but they said that that's the character that was.
So Jimmy's dead.
So Jimmy's dead.
That was, that scene was another one that kind of took me out of the movie briefly. Was I don't want to call him a terrorist group, but it was the group. So all right, so you had the guy that took Lois Lane when he found out that she was an unintentional spy.
Yep.
Took him into his house or whatever, has the gun to her head, and then you hear the booms off in the distance, and Superman's there. And Superman charges the guy and just like drag him through walls.
Yeah, he
and crap like
obliterates
that.
him right through the wall.
Right. And then it jumps to the scene where a woman from that same village is testifying to the senator, saying, it's kind of sounded like she was blaming all the deaths that happened
On
at
Superman.
that event on Superman.
Yep.
Well, when you think about it, at least the majority of the deaths that happened at that scene were from bullets. Did anyone do an autopsy on these people to see that it wasn't giant fist pummeling a guy, that it was bullets?
And Lois even had that bullet from
Right.
Jimmy's notebook.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I found this bullet on the scene. Oh, well, I don't want to see that. I don't care about that.
Yeah,
you guys are
is this
morons.
not enough evidence to make you guys realize Superman did not kill these people? They didn't-
Exactly.
Oh God, that senator. You know what?
Holly Hunter.
That was Holly Hunter.
Yep.
It was her job to kind of pioneer the role / the idea of questioning the existence of Superman, trying to tame him and stuff like that. I didn't think that role did a very good job of that.
No.
At all.
She kind of, it seemed like she kept backpedaling, and she kind of was very hesitant, and she didn't want to like the character just didn't seem that.
Right. She didn't quite have that key or that motivation
No.
to at least to win me over as an audience member. And then, because I remember that, and I may or may not get this line right, but it was she was being interviewed by Charlie Rose, and he asked the question, should there be a Superman? And I think her response was, there is a Superman. Well, yeah, answer the stupid question, you. Ugh. Anyway, that's my thoughts on her.
I think when she said that, she was trying to imply that she wants to say no, but she can't say no. She wanted to say, well, there is a Superman. You can't really do anything about it. I mean,
Right. I mean, use that as an opportunity to really drive your point home, and I don't think she ever did that.
Yeah, she
for
never.
me anyway.
She never stuck to it, and it wound up being her downfall. So.
last,
Oh.
I can't believe her last moment was drinking a glass of piss.
What did you think of Jeremy Irons as Alfred?
I love Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
I wish he got more time on camera.
Absolutely.
He was cracking me up.
I can't wait to see him. I'm assuming he'll still be Alfred in whatever solo Batman movies we're going to get.
I hope so, because when he first came on screen, he started talking, I closed my eyes, and all I could hear was Scar. But I thought...
Be prepared.
Be prepared. I thought something that they really did well was... Even though he was only on screen for like 3 minutes, I mean, just the way that he talked to Batman and the way that, his personality came off in the movie, it felt like Alfred. It felt like a seasoned Alfred, just like, well...
It's like
here we go again.
They did a great job of bringing home the idea that no one else could ever talk to Bruce Wayne or Batman the way he does, but at the same time, he is still helping him every step of the way. So it's this beautiful mesh of those two very different ideas, and I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I hope to see more of him in the standalone. Maybe even get a little cameo in Suicide Squad.
Give him his own movie.
Give Alfred his own movie.
Absolutely. See, because I guess he's supposed to be like some I don't know, is he Secret Service or something like that?
He's ex, I think, Secret Service or Royal Navy.
Yeah, some kind of military position. I want an Alfred movie.
Yeah, Alfred.
Okay, let's talk about the fight.
Okay.
The one and only fight that we got.
Yeah.
It was good. I give the fight like maybe an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Because first of all, the motivation behind the fight was okay. I get that Superman was trying to save his mom, and I get that Batman's trying to do his own thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a huge problem with that. A lot of the moves were pretty cool, although a lot of it we actually saw in the trailers.
Yeah, a lot of it was, I mean, like, what do you say, like 85% of the actual fight was spoiled already?
Somewhere, maybe I'd give it like 70%, but that's still a lot.
Yeah.
Considering this is supposed to be the main event of this entire 2.5-hour movie, and we've basically seen the
Batman versus Superman, and they kind of... Yeah, the motivation behind it kind of was... It was understandable where Batman just wanted to stand up to Superman and say enough is enough, and I don't think his intentions were to kill him, right? Because he had the spear.
He was probably going to kill him.
Yeah. So, and just so we get this out of the way, Batman did win that fight. He did. So.
Yeah.
Batman's number one. Anyway.
And also, Batman kills in this movie a lot.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
We'll go back to that, but first,
we'll get to that later. But the fight scene, it just, again, it goes back to my original point. It didn't have the triumph and just the.
There wasn't as much of a wow factor, because it starts off. They're on the roof. There's maybe like a couple of punches or shoves or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's when Batman crushes him through the glass ceiling panel, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it stays in that room for a little bit until Batman drags him into the room, swings him around, and then that's pretty much the end of the fight.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the kryptonite bullets were actually kind of cool, like how he misted them. And I think one of my favorite scenes is when he shoves him into the wall, and Batman hits him once, twice, and he gets to hit him a third time, and his whole entire glove just crumples in.
And just gradually, like, you see the punches getting less effective. I love that part.
He backs up, and he's like...
And then you see Superman's face, like,
yeah,
he's just getting madder and madder, like, oh, this is gonna hurt. Bam! And he punches the other side of the room.
I thought it would have been cool if they started quoting a little bit from The Dark Knight Returns. And I talk about The Dark Knight Returns a lot because that's the movie I went to and watched right before I went in to see Batman vs. Superman. And that was actually one of my favorite movies now. But I thought it would have been cool if, like, Superman punched him and was like, that was 3 ribs, Bruce. How much more do you want? Or something more along the lines of
Those lines
that.
were so good. When you build a movie around Batman v Superman, and you expect that level of a fight. Now, granted, these guys aren't Frank Miller, and
No.
if they copied too much, then I think that would, I don't know, would that be a minus though? Because it's such a good fight. But at the
Yeah.
same time, would you want to? Some people would be complaining, oh, they just ripped off the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I can see that they wanted originality, and it's good that they went that direction. I'm not saying that they should have gone that direction, but it's just something I would have thought would have been cool. It might have just been me, but I'm sure there's people out there that would have just been like, oh my god, if it was just like, if Batman had the monologue, if he did that monologue where it's like in your brightest of moments, in your and for the rest of your life, I want you to remember
The one man who beat.
Yeah, I thought that scene, like, if he monologued even a little bit, that would have been cool. But I thought the fight overall was definitely like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, because there wasn't that much dialogue during the fight scene, which to an extent you would expect that, especially since there was no inner monologues or anything like that in this movie.
Yeah.
But then, the way the fight ended.
Well, there was Batman's little monologue when he was talking about how many, talking about like even if there's a 1% chance that.
Well, but that wasn't part of the fight.
No,
So that's what I'm
that was later. That was earlier in the movie,
Yeah.
but yeah, during the fight there was no monologue. There was no like breakdown, like a pause in the fight. It was just pure,
It was
chaos.
mostly just violence.
Yeah, it was just violence.
But then
which is good.
I hated the way that fight ended.
Yeah, Lois comes in and.
Well, it was because the whole time Superman's just trying to do this to save his mom. So he's either going to try and recruit Bruce, or he's going to actually try to kill him, like Lex wants, bring him his head.
Yep.
But then once Batman gets the best of him, that's when he screams, "They're going to kill Martha," or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, it's weird that he referred to her by her first name.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't, if that were my motivation, I don't think I would be screaming, they're gonna kill, insert my mother's name. I just say they're gonna kill my mom or something like that. And it just so happened that their names match, and Bruce is screaming, "Why are you saying that name?" And then that's when Lois Lane conveniently goes in there. And this is actually another point that someone made to me the other day was, I kind of get how you could see it, but at the same time, I could just as easily believe how well this wouldn't work out, that Lois got in the chopper and happened to know the exact building where they wound up at.
Yeah.
And happened to show up at the exact time when Superman was about to get stabbed. She jumps in front of the spear.
Conveniently.
Yeah. And just all those notes together, it's like, this is, of all the things to happen, this is the one thing that's really going to bring you guys together amongst all the hatred. We spend so much time with Bruce getting ready to just wipe this guy out.
Yeah.
And all he has to hear is his mother's name, and then, I completely forgive this guy. I get it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, it's understandable, and it was kind of a weird way to end the fight. And I'm really kind of confused how that happened, where Batman and Superman both have the same, their moms are both the same.
Conveniently, yeah.
Yeah, conveniently.
Yes.
I can understand why, Bruce stopped, because he heard his mom's name, and it kind of snapped back to the moment. And this is kind of getting off topic, but that opening sequence with them showing how Thomas and Martha Wayne died, I thought that was actually really cool. The slow motion and just the feel of it, just the intensity. And
What I agree up to the point where we see young Bruce fall into the pit, and the bats are surrounding him, and he
like
floats.
flies up in the air.
And it's like, in the dream, the bats lifted me to the light. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jeff, what? I don't care.
That part was a little weird, because I'm like, is he flying? Okay.
There's
I'm talking about just that sequence where his mom and
just where
dad
he's-
died.
Yeah.
I thought that like the fact that they had it where the guy, who I'm guessing would just be Joe Chill in this case,
Yeah, we'll call him
stuck his gun like underneath the pearl necklace.
That was a nice touch.
That was like wow, and he pulled the trigger, and the hammer came, or not the hammer, the gun came back and it just completely took off the pearls. I mean, it snapped them right off, and I thought that was an excellent touch.
I agree.
The intensity in the eyes and just the feeling of just hopelessness, and just you knew it was going to happen, but it sucked and it was sad even though you knew what was going on.
Yeah, because we've seen it a lot. But yeah, I agree that opening bit was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the last thing we could really talk about, unless I'm forgetting something, is the Justice League cameos.
I thought that was I don't know if I've said it yet, but that was probably the best part of the movie, was getting to see the 3 Justice League members. You got to see the Flash, Ezra Miller.
Yes.
You got to see Ezra Miller do his thing in a convenience store. So I was really excited to see that. And then you got, Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
That I did like the Aquaman scene, how it's just suddenly this guy comes out of a rock and he just bam, and then he hits like the probe or the camera or whatever, and you see another view of it just flying out of the water. So you got to imagine he just walloped the crap out of that thing.
Yep. And then the final one's the Cyborg cameo. Wow. Like that was no joke. Heavy. That was heavy. Like just the fact that he had, I mean, it was after accident. I mean, it was post incident, and they had the mother. What was it? The mother box. They had the mother box.
His dad had the mother box.
And that was probably the truest thing in the movie from the comics.
Yeah.
In my opinion, was he was doing anything to save his son, and it wound up him just putting that mother box, hooking it up to his son, and then everything was just coming together. So I thought the 3 cameos were an excellent touch. They did a really nice job with them.
The timing of it was a little weird, but I did like the footage that we got to see of all of them. I still am gonna have a lot of trouble buying Ezra Miller as the Flash
until we see him.
Because there was
is he Wally West, or is he gonna be?
No, he's
Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there were some pictures of him at some red carpet event, and he has put on a lot of muscle. He cut a lot of that nappy looking hair that he's
nappy.
I can't believe I call him nappy hair, but that's the best word I could think of to describe him.
Yeah.
But it's I'm gonna hold off. I like the scene that they put him in, how he's watching this robbery, and you see it looks like he's going to be a lot more powerful because of the surges that happened in that convenience store just from him.
The Back to the Future tracks.
Yeah, he's running just like 5-10 feet or something like that to stop the robbery, and the whole place is just kind of goes nuts. So I did like that stuff, and in the end, I do like the decision that they're going to be introducing the characters in a movie like this and in the Justice League before we see their standalone movies, because at least in terms of Aquaman and Cyborg, I don't think if they had their solo movies beforehand, I don't think they'd be popular enough to draw in a big enough crowd.
Yeah.
But then if you attach them to movies that include Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and all the others, I think that gives them a nice little push. I
agree. I think that the Justice League movie is really going to help their standalones stand out. Stand out. One of the things, though, I feel like Warner Brothers could have done was give Batman a standalone before they did this. I really thought they would have had more success if they introduced Bruce in his own origin story. If they had Ben Affleck in a standalone before he went into this blockbuster.
Yeah.
Because one of the complaints, again, that I had was the plot was just so shifty. And I mean, you go in, and I thought they did a good job of showing who Bruce Wayne was and what he was trying to do. And oh my God, that scene where he was on the wall in the beginning.
Oh, where he's tucked up against the corner. That was good.
That was badass.
And the one at the end where he sneaks into Lex Luthor's little prison tucked away area.
Yep.
That kind of stuff is good.
And then the Batmobile chase scene.
I didn't like that one.
Oh, you didn't like that? Okay.
Part of it. Okay, I didn't want to come back to this. So First of all, it kind of looks like he kills a lot of people in this chase.
Yeah, it does.
Now, granted, they're criminals, so I'll give that a slight pass at least. Then, between that scene, and I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, between that scene and other times when he's either driving the Batmobile or flying the plane, a lot of the time that we spend with Batman is with him in vehicles. I think we see him just as much in a vehicle as we do outside of a vehicle. And so most of his performance is just him going...
Yeah.
And turning and just like looking around.
Flying and turning. And,
yeah, and then like...
And running against Doomsday.
Running, yeah. And then...
But the fight scene that he did have with the goons when he was going to save Martha...
Okay, I like that scene. I really do. I feel like it should have been earlier in the movie.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. It's kind of like...
You kind of wanted to see...
This is one of the best things about Batman is how well he can take out a bunch of people at once.
Yeah.
So why are we waiting until the end of the movie to see this?
Like, show Batman's capability beforehand.
Yeah.
Kind of get you, saying, like, man, this dude... And that training montage, man, that was...
Oh, where he's like pulling the tires and smashing it and lifting like those 1,000-pound weights or whatever he's doing. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, but I thought that definitely showed his dedication, and that kind of got you pumped up for the fight. And as lackluster as it was, I mean, he really trained hard, and he
knew
what he was getting into.
He wasn't going to be a pushover at all.
Okay, so I think we've pretty much covered.
Well, the way that chase scene ended when Superman's just randomly in the streets for no reason.
Yeah, he kind of like stops him, but I mean I feel like that's what Superman does sometimes. Batman's in the middle of something serious, like in the middle of a gunfight or a chase scene or an interrogation, and Superman just shows up and ruins it.
What I kind of wanted to see. In conjunction, or at least like beforehand, before we see just Batman shines his light on Superman and just hits him by, we presume, accident, maybe on purpose. What I would have liked to see is Superman either in his Clark Kent form or even just in his Superman form. Mm-hmm. If we see him and he hears off in the distance all this calamity going on, and we see him kind of bolt over there, or what I think would have been cool is, while he's trying to catch up to these criminals, if we would have heard the kind of like thundercloud or whatever that we hear whenever Superman just like jetting over to someone, and then just get like the sudden shock of Batman's Batmobile just kind of like going out of control.
Yeah.
That I think would have made a lot more intense, other than just Superman's here.
Yeah, he just turns a corner and it's Superman.
Yeah, that didn't really work for me.
Okay, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about was the dream sequence.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say which one. There's at least three.
Dream sequence is.
So I'm assuming you
spoiler
mean
alert.
The big one.
Yeah, there's what, like 3?
There's the one in the beginning where he's lifted up by the bats.
Yeah. There's
the
where he goes
one
the gravesite.
And the giant bat pops out of the wall for some reason.
Man bat. And then there is the one where it's kind of like a foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a future. I thought that was, you know what, I knew what it was going to be when we saw all the previews, but I thought it was actually better, because even with him staring down into like that just absolutely obliterated city, and it's the Omega symbol in the field, like it's just like, wow. I mean,
yeah.
What happened? Like, is this the future? Is this, because even when you saw the preview, you didn't know if that was something he was dreaming or if that was definitely
right,
like something was going on.
Wasn't that the thing where it was only in a screenshot that we saw Batman looking at the Omega symbol?
Yep.
So then the cool thing about that is, because that was immediately followed by him being assaulted by the people with the Superman emblem on their chest, and then Superman actually showing up. So he thinks all of that is because of Superman.
Yep.
And that's another part of his motivation behind that. So I do think that was a good touch.
And then I read it, and they didn't 100% confirm it, but it's pretty much insinuated that that's the Flash coming through the computer screen saying, Bruce, you were right about him. Lois is the key. You have to stop him.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited if they pull it. I think we're going to see some Injustice here. I don't know how familiar you are with Injustice Gods Among Us, But we're gonna see something where Superman's gonna say, you know what? That's it. I'm gonna take control of the world. Nobody can really stand up to me, and I'm gonna enforce what I need to enforce. And he's gonna side with Darkseid.
Well, because he also says Lois Lane is the key, and the precursor to Injustice is that
The Joker convinces.
the Joker convinces Superman to kill Lois.
Yep.
Well, not convinces, but there's kind of like, I don't know if it's like hypnosis or trickery or something.
He gasses him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He gasses him, and he drags her into space and leaves her there with her unborn child. And then that destroys Metropolis. So I wonder if that's what you're seeing is Metropolis, and then the Omega symbol in the Valley.
Right. Because there was that there was like a news article at some point that was saying that Doomsday isn't the big threat in this movie. So you kind of started to ponder on that, and some people were saying, well, what if it's Superman? That's actually the big threat.
Yeah.
And then this kind of thing with the Flash kind of might maybe point in that direction, that maybe at some point they're going to have to go against Superman.
Yeah. And I think that would be a pretty damn good movie. It's just having to see all the Justice League members have to try to take him down.
The Justice League neighbors?
The Justice League neighbors.
That would be a great sitcom.
Batman, did you steal my paper again?
No. Leave me alone.
Lantern, your dog shit on my lawn. You know what?
Cyborg's barbecuing on his own chest.
One of the things that I thought about after the movie is when they said that, Doomsday isn't going to be the biggest threat. I have a feeling that they were talking about Lex. I feel like they were saying that Lex is the biggest threat in this movie because he convinced Superman to try to kill Batman. He created Doomsday.
Yeah.
He pretty much turned everybody against each other. So that, in that aspect, they did a good job of making him seem like a criminal mastermind, and he manipulated everybody.
Right.
But they are making it seem like Superman's going to be the bad guy eventually, and that's
It could be.
And if I don't know who's directing the Justice League movies.
I think he's doing part 1.
Okay.
Part 2, I think, is still undecided.
Okay. Well, whoever does take hold of that's going to be one hell of a plot to try to
really sort through.
storm through, because you gotta make Superman pretty much. You kind of have to almost agree with him being Superman.
Yeah.
And
then at the same time you make him be challenging enough to where he's not a pushover but still beatable.
Yep.
And
interesting. I'm looking forward to the future of this franchise. So
I'm still nervous, but I'm still gonna go see the movies.
Oh yeah, I'm still.
As well should all of you, despite all these rumors. If you haven't seen the movie, well, first of all, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
But if by some chance you haven't seen the movie, or you know someone that hasn't seen the movie that maybe is a little apprehensive to see it, despite my, it's not a low rating, 7 out of 10, but despite my issues with this movie, I still encourage people to go see it.
Oh yeah, I still encourage people to go see it. At least go in with an open mind. It may not be the movie for you. You may kind of be nitpicky about like the plot and just the character development, but it's still worth it. It's still Batman versus Superman. It's still going to be probably one of the highest grossing superhero films ever. And as a side note, where the f- did Deadpool come from? Being the highest grossing R-rated film ever. That's incredible.
It was awesome.
Good job, everybody. Okay, well, I think, got anything else to add?
Oh, I thought you said, got anything else, Dad? Like,
got
no,
anything
son.
else to add?
No. Either way, the answer is no.
All right, well, I think the next time we're going to be doing this is is it Apocalypse? X-Men Apocalypse? It's going to be Civil War,
I
isn't
think
it?
there's something, there's a movie called Civil War that's happening beforehand.
So,
We've got a lot of good stuff planned for that. Like we said before, it's gonna be one of my favorite things to film with us. We're gonna get more of a crew.
We're gonna get more of a crew. I know you guys are probably getting sick of seeing my ugly mug. Yeah. But with Civil War coming up, superhero fans for all over the world are gonna be just enjoy. it's just a great year to be a fan.
And superhero fans all over the world should watch our videos as well.
Exactly. You should watch our videos.
You should also subscribe. You should comment. You should give us a thumbs up. If you want to give us a thumbs down, I'd rather not, but at least it means that you're paying attention.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up.
I agree.
All right. My name is Greg.
My name's Luby.
And we are from 165 Entertainment.
Peace.
Peace. Stop!